Mine was definitely this bright. I know every time because I see it, I'm just like, ugh. No, please.
Well, my kids went to the same elementary, middle school building that I went to, but they renovated it in between. So the general floor plan stayed the same, but I have no idea, like, what the lighting is now compared to
this.
the lighting was. Sort of thing. But the walls still had the same pattern to them.
I moved around a whole lot.
They put these lights in the girls' locker room at the district. We asked them to take them out. They said no. They're very bright.
They're so bright.
Yeah,
You don't have to take them out, just take out every other one.
Yeah,
that's the idea.
sometimes they're on 2 switches and you can do that.
Yeah.
The ours, they're not.
The ones in my office are wired like that, but the two different sets of controls are cross-wired, so it's not the same on the two. And my brain is not doing a great job of remembering which is which time, and I usually end up just doing a bunch of flipping, and, or I could just leave them on and get one of those little, motion controls that just turns it off automatically if I don't move, and I've been asking for 5 minutes.
I have the cross switch situation in my house, in my kitchen, and I've been there for 10 years and I still mess it up. Still have to
Well,
stand there and think about
if
it.
it's yours, you're allowed.
Wow.
I'm not allowed to rewire City Hall.
And I kept looking at
I am allowed,
text
that's
Arthur
right.
and see if it was anything.
I haven't
Like,
done
what
that.
was
Question is, who would ever know if you did?
Exactly.
It's the old forgiveness versus permission.
Okay, so I'm not saying that's not a valid way to go through that. And there are scenarios in which I have enjoyed using that. There's a risk reward ratio where the reward of having my lights flipped in the same order, not necessarily reward for risk of doing something wrong to the electrical system. And the repercussions of the fact that I, in a completely unauthorized way, opened up the wall. I mean, you can't burn down the wall, it's mostly marble. But I'm not sure what's in the walls. And what if I open up the plate and something falls out? Now back on me.
Literally.
Literally.
I always say, I heard something in there and I thought it was a trapped animal, and I just wanted to let it out.
A squirrel, I was sure.
I was sure it was just a squirrel.
Well, I
Who
think
knew it was a
also,
Burmese python?
I think also,
Relatives who've been living in there.
there's probably some merit to the man who is the city comptroller retaining his reputation for following the rules.
There's probably some there, and also, I have to say, I've worked in and out of City Hall for a long time now, and no money, which really lends some credence to the possibility of the python.
Welcome.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
We've been sitting here talking about how wonderfully comfortable except for the light.
We have to run.
Except for lights.
So, people will probably trickle in, we'll probably get 2 or 3 more, but in the meantime, turn it over to our esteemed constabulatory.
You got something to say?
Yeah, here's all the damage.
Good afternoon to all again. Yeah, we will jump straight into it. There's a lot been going on. We're trying our best. We're working on, especially for the shoplifting. It peaked, and we had a lot, 25-11. When you hear about the burglary and the robbery, most of the robbery happened in the store. When the shoplifter enter the store, they take action, and once employee stop you, the moment you touch the person, you can get robbed. Straight. So it was all shoplifting, and then employee try to stop the person, kind of fuss over things, and shot. attempted robbery, shut down the store. So you hear, we had a robbery, like number went up, but it's all fall between shoplifting and attempting to rob. It's not actually somebody got a gun or a knife or demand something from you. So we deal with the 28 days, homicide, we got 0, shooting 0, rape 0, robbery, we got 3, aggravated assault, we got 2, burglary 0, larceny, we got 12, which is shoplifting.
12?
Yeah.
Those are
Oh.
like
Shoplifting.
petty,
A lot.
petty things.
Yes,
Okay.
a lot. Auto theft, we got 4, arsenal 0, total per 1 crime, we got 21, violent crime 5, property crime 16. So like I said, the shoplifting peak. Then we compare this with 2025. At this time, we have 0, homicide, shooting, we got 0, rape 0, robbery, we got 0, which this year we got 3, which increased. Aggravated assault, we got 3, 2, and last year we had 1. Burglary, we had 0 last year, 0 this year for this time, which is the last inning was 1, and this year 12, so it picked up again. The rest of it is all 0. And we're working on the last inning, shoplifting.
And I think last month you mentioned it was a group, a specific, same people?
Repeat
Yeah,
that. Same
okay.
people. We arrest a lot. We work on,
Hey, Lou.
we have put out almost 13 to 15 warrants for the same individuals.
Okay.
I was able to go to court today for 3 different cases involving the same people. So
Same people.
we had them from York Road all the way down to Greenmount, St. Paul Street, not just yet.
Yeah.
They like go from different spot to different spot. So we arrest some of them, lock up, issue them a warrant, they arrest, they have to go to court, they will spend time in prison, they'll give them the time to spend, and at least we'll try to bring that tension down when it comes to that. If you have any question, concern, anything that we can respond to now, we will. If not, the next meeting, hopefully our sergeant will be here to help out with that.
Great stats, not mad at that at all. We are having this one issue, sure, a number of us have heard that, we don't know if it's like a weird uptick of it, or it's this one guy,
A creeper.
we have a masturbator.
Yeah, guy comes around wearing a mask, like people's back porches.
Yeah.
Looking
People
into
calling
that.
it in, we had that.
Yeah, no, yeah,
It's-
yeah,
it's-
it's
it's-
getting called in.
Is it the same person who did?
Probably.
It seems like it's the same guy.
I mean,
He's been gone for a long time.
Well,
It's-
he had been gone for a long time, but lately he's the alley between, what is it, Calvert and Margaret Brent, like he's like that alley with Margaret Brent.
like over Charles
Yeah.
Village, so just out, but, I mean,
Yeah, he was on 27th,
He may not respect neighborhood boundaries forever.
well, the weirdly encouraging thing is that apparently this has been happening for years.
That's what I
And he's
said.
never attacked anybody violently, and he's never, but, you know, he comes back out every now and then apparently, and,
I know exactly something. You just gotta keep calling for him.
yeah.
That's how we caught him last time. I mean, and I don't know if everybody was just irritated with him that one day, but we did not stop until we caught him up by 33rd Street, because he was on a rampage. And I think he went to like the back of like, a daycare or something, which got people going, so it was pretty bad. But I haven't heard about him for a long time, so you gotta let everybody know,
Yeah.
just keep calling on him. So you get it.
A rampage in this situation is a choice of words.
So, wait, so he's been caught.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
actually,
gotta verify that's the same person.
Yeah.
We had someone in this neighborhood that was going around, and this is almost like the last time that I heard about it was like a good 5-6 years ago.
I remember there were 1 or 2 incidents like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, it was,
That got
it just
mentioned.
keeps popping up and then he goes away and he comes back and.
Again, after
Yeah.
choices.
Is it
You know-
daytime or nighttime? Is it when the kids are around?
You know, yeah, the time of the day.
They, I've
Was
seen
it
him
day?
It was daytime last
Okay.
time.
But yeah, but he's been cited daytime wise.
Four or 5 years ago, up at the Able playground, a woman approached me and my grandson and said, you gotta be careful, somebody's doing this here. And we were concerned that it could have something to do with the presence of the kids in the playground. He's down by Margaret Brent.
It's just been doing like people's back
Yeah.
doors,
Yeah.
like
Right.
on
And
a
he-
couple occasions.
Yeah. Like, you know, glass back doors.
Yeah,
and-
they'll see on their back porch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And, but lately, he's been caught like twice, actually twice in one night, he was caught in fire escapes, having climbed up.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know,
So just keep calling, it sounds like the same guy, we'll see when, get eyes on him or whatever, but just tell people when they see it, just keep calling, even if they think it's a nuisance, just keep calling back.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, it's more than. a
And
nuisance.
just,
I mean,
and
it's
just take
unsettling
picture,
for
Yeah.
the people that have that.
take picture, have something
Yeah.
saved, so.
This one house on the corner,
You
like
can
the corner
identify
of
him.
Market Brent, got a few pictures.
Mhm.
They're grainy, but there's pictures, if we can maybe send them to you.
I would say send it to the website or Sergeant Olivo, so we can
Yeah.
have,
Yeah.
Gotta keep the eyes on it.
I'll see if I can tell them to.
anything else?
Anything else?
I think that was the only thing that I was gonna mention
Yeah,
too.
same. Anything else, anybody?
I already called this in, but there was a guy following the Amazon truck who like
Yeah.
swiped my package a minute later, and then, you know, they caught him, so, I don't know.
Oh.
If
Oh,
that's,
they caught him?
yeah, cause I was like home when it happened, and I was like, where's my package? I got this notification 5 minutes ago.
Right.
So, yeah, that
Someone
happened.
caught their neighbor also apparently, lately, the other day?
Oh, yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
you.
that's what I'm
That's
talking
the
about.
neighbor?
Yeah. So I was just like, okay, but.
I mentioned this to Sergeant Olivo, and we've been having more of a conversation with Odette about this, the 26th Street Park. Don't feel you gotta stick around for it, but it's been an ongoing issue. When there was the little canopy and the table, they were using it a lot more. We removed the table, the canopy's been taken down. But there's a business around the corner on 26th Street. Just a lot of people, drug addicts, homeless people, have been using that to a degree that they never have before. It's really like the last few months, it's become a major sort of gathering point for usage and distribution.
What time are they out there? Cause I go by that park, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And most times there's like one person out there.
Yeah, it's,
And they were up at the other end, but they started doing construction over there, so now they're really down on that end,
Yeah.
or in the back of the other, businesses in the back.
so,
So we do keep an eye on that,
yeah, and we're just, right now, we're trying to figure out what we can do with that space.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, a lot of this has been driven by the people that live right there, and that was supposed to be like a community space. And for the last year, nobody's felt comfortable going there at all,
we got people from the high rise coming over there now,
Yeah.
so.
so.
I've kind of like two things. One's a question, but initially, just to follow up on wrong way vigilancy, 127. Last time we talked to Sergeant Lito, he mentioned that we might get a car, maybe like sit there for like a few hours, like morning or afternoons.
I don't know about sitting there, but we
Well,
definitely
we
were
did.
over there. After that meeting, we definitely were over there.
We were
And
all here.
I still come by there and we
Yeah.
saw.
You
they did
didn't,
some
you didn't
traffic.
catch nothing?
Yeah.
There was a lot of traffic
They did
stops
a lot of
within the
traffic
whole area.
stops, we did business checks, we flooded
Okay.
the
Yeah.
area for like a couple of
Okay,
days.
that's just me like following up.
Yeah,
And then the other one is, I guess it may sound a bit more controversial, but more so like wondering, like, what's the messaging around when people feel that there's like, you know, ongoing kind of open air stuff, just exchange and whatnot, especially when there's a car not too far, there's an officer and whatnot. Like, what is the messaging that I wonder the association should be sharing with the public at large when they feel like you see a cop there and like they're doing it and they're not like accosting them, or what's like the larger picture for us to like have a proper messaging?
So you want us to give you a message to take back to people in the community about drug activity?
More so,
What do we say if someone's like, I saw these people dealing drugs here,
Right.
and there was a cop right there?
right there.
Well, that's a.
We
that's
hear that a lot.
complaint. Well, that would be a complaint that you have to send to our supervisor, or the major, because she's open to stuff like that, so we have a
Right.
great major.
And look, this is not to be like, oh, nothing's being done. It's more so like, maybe there are things happening that we don't know.
Not cutting you off, like I said,
Yeah.
there is a lot of investigation. We
Sure.
have the unit that responsible for that. So,
That was
you-
done on the camera.
yeah, unit that go after the top.
Yeah.
Because
It's not
that's
just that
where it
random
comes
little
from,
guy.
not the
Right,
guy who's
right,
standing on the
right.
corner trying to get a little something. It would be like, we trying to fill the whole room with people and you have the real person out there still doing the deed. So they try to look for the head. So there is an investigation, there is a unit
Yeah.
special for that. They just
Yeah.
specialize in
I mean, a
that.
bunch of people got picked up though, but it's not like we can't.
Yeah,
but-
today again, I think we got 2 pick up again. They were in the district, just locked them up again. But
Right.
before tomorrow evening or before the 3-4 hours, you're gonna be walking down the street again back here. But you have to catch the real person, the one who
Right.
bring it, try to distribute.
And
That's
you
the
can,
person.
you can do petty lockups, too, but most of the time, people don't
Yeah.
realize, those people don't even have anything on them. As much as you think that
No.
you see something, there's really absolutely nothing there.
Right.
So, and usually the police officer that's there is probably the post officer for the day, and they pretty much know most of the people in the area. So, and like you said, we do have a unit that actually specializes in that, and we get a lot of we actually get a lot of drug arrests in the area. So, it's not just a whole bunch of running around and doing everything. Sometimes they tell us don't do nothing because they're out there doing stuff, and they tell us that over the air. Stay out the area, don't do nothing, just sit there, and then they take care of it, because they're doing a full-blown investigation.
Has anyone attended the Northern District Commander meeting from here?
We haven't appointed somebody to go, we've talked about it,
Yeah.
but
Somebody have to go.
It's on
see.
Zoom,
It's on Zoom, so you can see some of the work.
and then you can ask all
Actually,
these
good to
questions.
know.
All
Yeah.
this question, and the commander is there, the major's there, the captain there, that's when the question.
Where do we go for the Zoom? For the
I
Zoom?
can,
You can find
I,
it?
the invites come to the president.
Okay,
I can-
cool.
I can circulate.
And I was gonna say, usually there's a president on there, acknowledge you all, and asks if anybody there from the association that wants to say anything, questions.
Yeah.
I mean, so, it's pretty open.
I'll start dropping that into the chat.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, anything else?
No?
I would just like to say.
What?
One thing.
That's the clue, and you can't do it like you do. I hope you know that. You may try, but you won't do it like you do.
That was why I like it when you guys go for a text.
Sure. But we do have some of the stuff here.
You're
but
the
we'll take
best,
whatever
you
you
know
want.
that, right?
Yeah, bring it in.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you guys. One of the rare, like, actually belong public servants in the wild. Look at that.
I'm glad you think that. Like, I guarantee you, there are people who don't like it.
Oh, sure. You probably watch
So,
Fox.
Pardon?
You probably watch Fox. Did I say that? I'm sorry. There we go.
Oh.
See, you better
Wisdom.
put wisdom. Wisdom. I'll learn one day.
Ask him. That's wisdom, yeah.
Bill, would you like to,
Mhm.
the floor is yours?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm looking at where the camera is.
Do you want to just talk from there? Honestly, we
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm just gonna
Okay.
scoot it right here.
Yeah,
It's like you've gone through the trouble of making this nice little, like, we're all.
It's always a work in
we're all
progress, you
the
know.
nice, the U-shaped table.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's 25 people here, the layout changes. But if there's less than 15, this is,
That's why this is a multi-purpose room. it can be whatever it needs to be for the situation. Well, good evening, my name's Bill Henry, I'm the city comptroller. That's Jay Hardy from my office, he does community affairs for us, and he should have shared with everybody at this point, one of these little handouts that's just a quick little, who our office is and what we do. And the nice thing about it is, if you have specific things you want me to talk about, then you guys already have that, so I can cut the standard who we are, what we do spiel, and just get to answering questions. So do you have specific stuff you wanted to ask or talk about? Because otherwise I'll just ramble for a while and periodically questions will occur to you.
I flagged this when we had the board meeting.
Okay.
And they mentioned a couple, I think, more points of curiosity that had come up.
I'm a big fan of curiosity.
Um,
Asking questions is a good way to find things out. Big Bird, 1972.
Thank you, great to see you, thank you. I think, I can
I do it when my phone's there.
I have a question.
go ahead, yeah.
I'm curious, like, what's next for, in the conversation, I guess, about the regional water authority or not?
That's a very timely question. So we just kicked off Regional Water Governance Task Force 2.0. And there was a meeting, the next meeting was supposed to be next week. Yeah, next week. The next meeting was supposed to be next week, but it has taken a lot longer to hire the consultants who are gonna help the task force do its work than we had expected. So we're gonna be pushing that next meeting back to after sine die, because two members of the task force are a delegate and a senator, and this was already kind of pushing the edge of when we could get them without interfering with the legislative session. And so we couldn't push it back a week or two, because then we wouldn't have them. So we're gonna do the next meeting sometime in late April. For those of you who missed 1.0, a couple of years ago, the General Assembly pushed by a variety of factors, one being problems that the city has had running water and wastewater, and two, complaints from the counties, which are customers of Baltimore City's water and wastewater, but have no way of being involved in the running of the system, because the system is entirely run by Baltimore City government, and that was not as big of a problem in the past when the city was bigger than the surrounding counties, and the fact that there were some customers outside the city, no big deal. But we have reached a point now where literally the majority of the customers live outside of Baltimore City, but we control them. And so there's a push from the counties to have more of a say in the running. But at the same time, the city has been hampered by the fact that the arrangements for the counties buying water and contracting with us for wastewater are, in most cases, like 50 years old, from when there weren't as many customers. And I'm blanking on the term for the escalation clauses in those contracts for how much more we could charge over time did not escalate anywhere near as quickly as costs have actually escalated over the decades. And so, TLDR, the county residents aren't paying an equitable share of the total cost of running and maintaining the system, but we have no way to make them renegotiate given how those agreements were put together back in the 70s. So the hope of the Water Governance Task Force, both the first version and this version, is that we could come up with some type of governance model that would satisfy the county's desire to be involved and engaged, while not making the city uncomfortable that someone else was running what is still legally our system. And at the same time, in return for a greater say in policymaking, the counties would agree to pay more towards the cost of the system. Now, keep in mind, all of this is me saying it. If you ask individuals involved, I'm sure that the county would not stipulate to the idea that they don't pay a reasonable amount of money. And I'm sure that if you ask the people running the system now, they wouldn't say that, oh, we don't give the counties any say, like, we don't tell them what we're out to do in advance, because there's absolutely no way that a county executive might have ever said to me over, drinks, I find out stuff about the system in the paper. So, when we did the first one, it was rushed. The General Assembly set a very short time limit to do the work in, and then the city and county made things worse by taking several months to figure out who they wanted to put on it. And we found ourselves trying to work through all the possible ways to do this in a matter of months. And it was not enough. And basically what we came back with was, we think we'd like to do an authority, but we don't have nearly enough time to do all the due diligence for how you put that together and whether it would even work. So what we're gonna suggest as our main recommendation back to the General Assembly who created it was, you should do this again. You should do another task force, but give that one more time. And that had two beneficial things. One, they did that, they followed the recommendation and they put together a second task force. But also, we had time between then and now to start doing the due diligence. And what we found out was, we can't do an authority. And for anybody who's interested in the details of water finance, the reason we can't do an authority is, with an authority, you turn over all the financial responsibilities to this new thing that you created, the authority. But in our case, we have borrowed so much money over the years, like in floating bonds, so that we can do improvements and maintenance to the system. And so much of that debt was incurred back before COVID, when interest rates were low, that now, if you needed to refinance that debt over to another entity, they would have to pay literally hundreds of millions of dollars in extra interest. And it's just not worth it to do that. So what we're moving towards is something more like, if you guys have ever worked with the city's planning commission, the planning commission is people nominated mostly by the mayor, and then technically they hire the director of the planning department. So even though the planning department is part of city government and almost everything works for the mayor, technically in that case, they work for the mayor through the planning commission. And so what we're looking at is, can we have some type of water and wastewater commission where we let the counties and maybe the state name some of the people to it, and let the mayor name the rest. And that way, they would technically run the water and wastewater department, and that gives the county stakeholders an actual literal seat at the table. And now the question is, are they willing to pay for that?
Would that be anything like WSSC in Montgomery and PG?
It would be very similar to that, although there is much conversation over how many members and who gets to appoint how many.
Mhm.
When these arrangements were made back in the seventies, did they have a termination date on them? Are they eternal?
They just roll. And by the way, stuff that just rolls, awful. Cause Verizon has their own conduit system under Baltimore City that is left over from literally a handwritten agreement with Bell from like the early 1900s. And I've been told that like there's this thing in the city's law department where every time they hire a new lawyer in the contract department, they get like some period of time to see if they can figure out a way to crack that.
It's like a hazing ritual.
Yeah, and nobody's been able to figure out a way to break that.
So career-making opportunity.
Yeah.
We actually, had somebody from DPW come here, 1 or 2 meetings ago. Whose bright idea was to start with asking everybody, how much they paid and whether they paid less than $100. And then immediately followed with telling everybody that we should consider that cheap for water per month. And we asked, whether the increase would be felt by the county partners, and basically we're told that probably not, and that we shouldn't worry about that.
Worry is not the word I would use. I mean, it's not that you shouldn't worry about it, it's a, hello. We're talking water and wastewater governance.
Right on time.
It's that there's very little that city residents or city government can unilaterally do about what Baltimore County is willing to do. There was an op-ed that Zach, one of the councilmen, one of the new council people from South Baltimore, Zach Blanchard and Nick Stewart, who I believe is a candidate for Baltimore County Executive. They did an opinion piece recently about the importance of more regional cooperation. I don't know that I would say that I'm 100% behind the specific details of all the stuff that they suggested, but I am 100% behind the idea that Baltimore City and Baltimore County will only improve if they work together. And for anybody who has followed Baltimore County's history, they are starting to see problems that used to be thought of as just city problems, because the socioeconomic results do not respect an invisible line on a map. And so, okay, but there are a bunch of hands going up around here.
Ralph, I was just gonna say, and it's just my opinion, to say that the city is losing people when they're moving half a mile to the north, I think is a misnomer, because I think it's a mistake to think of the city and the county as separate entities. I think the more we work together, the better we'll go.
By the way, Baltimore County is losing population for their first time in decades, and they're not.
See how it feels
they're
now?
They're not happy about it.
Actually, you're here.
Well, I'm curious, so what is your office's role in this discussion?
Oh, in the water and wastewater?
Yeah.
Okay, funny you should say that, because my staff keeps asking me that also. So I volunteered my way into the first task force because I saw it coming, and what I saw was a need for coming to a regional agreement, and I thought that was important, and Johnny O was the county executive at the time, and I've known him for a while, and frankly, he was the best hope I had seen for a county executive who would treat the city fairly. I have watched county executives in my lifetime who would not piss on us if we were on fire in the road. And Johnny, on the other hand, is like, is somebody who recognizes that he would piss now. Who knows what he's doing? He's like a million feet high. But he was somebody who I knew recognized the importance of the city and county working together. And I thought, if we have this moment where we've got this mayor and this county executive, maybe we can cut a deal. And so I volunteered to do it. And the way they structured the task force was the chair had to be somebody that the mayor and the Baltimore County executive agreed on. And then for this time, round 2, I got pulled back in because the state was really happy with how I ran the first one. The interim county executive is comfortable with me, and the mayor has actually been more on a bandwagon of regionality this time than he was during the first one, so I'm continuing to be hopeful. But no, it has absolutely nothing to do with the responsibilities of the comptroller's office.
Well, that answers one of my questions. Also, the non-fishers nowadays are called Hoganers.
What? Oh, the
Non-fishers.
non-fishers.
Talk about somebody who wouldn't piss on us.
Hogan wouldn't even admit that we were on fire.
Right.
Hogan would be like, I don't see anybody on fire.
I think they're being dramatic.
You see that map they did that didn't even have Baltimore City
Right,
on it?
Yeah, I remember that.
The state put out a map of like where they had invested money locally, and the city
Transportation dollars specifically.
wasn't even on the map.
Right.
They actually.
Like,
marked
they didn't
it
even
out.
list us.
Yes, there was a
Screw the
little
red
flag.
lines.
There's a blank space.
It was exactly when he canceled.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That was such a middle finger.
Yeah.
Baltimoreans love walking everywhere, especially when it's multi-miles. We love it.
Rather like, I guess, hear me as the one that asks, random controversial questions, but like, do you feel like there's any, whether on the fiscal side or on, the executive side, whether there's any appetite regionally for relaxing some of the Baltimore-specific restrictive policy that keeps us from having any kind of like larger control or get on the path of, dare I say annexation, but I won't, but. of
letting us be
anything
bigger?
around getting bigger, do we feel like there's anything, any
No,
appetite at all?
General Assembly will absolutely not.
That if you want to get into, painful, windmill tilting, chaotic kind of behavior, but with a non-zero chance of success, you should put together a group of people and do some kind of time capsule approach so that can work on merging Baltimore City and Baltimore County. Because I think long-term, there is a better chance of the jurisdictions coming together administratively than the city growing.
Sure.
And I say this, putting my academic hat back on. When I was an undergraduate studying urban policy, there were 6 cities of any real size in America that were not part of their surrounding county. That was in the late 80s, early 90s. There are now 2. It's down to just St. Louis and us.
Yep.
Everybody else in the last 35 years has figured out a way to merge.
Wait, that little one? What, the third one from recently?
Oh, Reno, I don't count Reno.
Oh,
They're not-
fair enough.
They're not even the city everybody knows in their state, which is, no, it's not. Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay.
Biggest little city in America.
Yeah, we had a few other questions that our board brainstormed.
Yeah,
Is that cool?
so, yeah, I think, Somebody was gonna pull up.
Oh,
so you
one of
gotta
them's
pull.
about. Your hat says place matters.
Mhm.
Okay, the shading on it is iffy. You should know that if your vision isn't great, from here it looks like rage matters.
Whoa.
That works.
Which I think, which I'm thinking might also work. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on the meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a little board meeting, we brainstormed some questions, and definitely wanna open it up to folks here, because it's great to have this conversation in person. And we had some, definitely questions about the utilities, but also about just getting ready for budget season. Anything else outside of the budget?
Is it okay if Odette jumps in, because I know it's actually causing her physical pain to not answer something. Like, I can actually feel her heart rate increasing. There's a little,
Yeah,
okay,
Bill and I have known each other since we were in college.
Yeah.
So,
great.
I love you.
from the Young Democrats.
So young Dems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're gonna be shocked to learn that she was president of Campus Young Dems and student body president.
Oh.
Wow.
Very unlikely.
Yeah, but there were some questions about, you know, the budget cycle is coming up and just getting ready for, I think every year, you know, we have our priorities and we come to taxpayers night and all that good stuff. And there was some interest in like learning a little bit more about, and this is probably a bigger conversation for what we have time today, but the charter amendment to give city council more control over the budget that passed, I think it was 2 years ago now.
Oh, it passed in 2020, went into effect in 2022.
Yeah, 2 years ago was the first time we used it.
Yeah, and just like interest in building on that to leverage any more control over the budget, or, and that's, you know, obviously more for the city council, or like.
Yeah, we're actually, I'm on the city council president has created a charter review special committee. And so I'm on that, there's 5 of us on the committee, chaired by Councilman Dorsey. And so we're literally looking at the budget, at the charter, which is our constitution, basically. And there's things in there that really shouldn't be in charter material. So the charter can only be amended by you all, okay? We have to put anything that's an amendment to the charter has to go before the voters. So we're reviewing it and we can put in resolutions to put things on the ballot. But ultimately it's your decision, right? And so, and you can also get signatures.
Sure, and that's how, was that a ballot initiative, folks, do you remember the?
No, that was a chart, that was something that the city council asked to be passed.
Okay.
So, so
For the budget power?
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah, that was his.
Yeah.
So we're looking at a lot of different things. We're looking at budget timing, we're looking at, I'm particularly interested in the capital budget, which is basically the dollars that you all allow us to borrow, you know, when you're, at the voting booth and it tells
Yeah.
you it's the 3 million for this and the 5 million for that. That, what you're voting for is allowing us, the city, to borrow money, to be able to put money into these things and then eventually, you know, pay that off. But the council doesn't have hardly any oversight of that. So I'm thinking about how, like, we can't amend that part of the budget, but I think we should. Especially since the capital budget is basically everything you see, hear, and touch, right? I mean, it's the roads, it's the buildings, it's the sidewalks, it's, you know, bridges, it's, you know, all of the buildings that, you know, we build, all that stuff. So it's stuff that you see. It's our traffic calming. It's our, you know, thinking about that, the charter amendment where we can essentially take from one place and move it somewhere else, is important. One of the things we don't have is to be able to add money somewhere, right? So the only exception is the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, because that was a charter amendment, done through a signature initiative, that allows for the city council to create a funding source and put it into the trust fund. So one of the things we are thinking about is whether or not we should just make that something that the council can just do.
Create a new funding source for
Funding
the capital?
sources, yeah, so the funding source, for instance, this is for the operating budget too. The funding source for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund is, for all of the transfers and recordation of real property above $1 million, real property meaning houses, building, above $1 million, there's an additional yield tax that goes into the trust fund. And so it definitely is dependent on the market. So like during COVID, we had so much money we didn't know what to do with, which was totally weird, because the market, nobody expected the market to do what it was doing. But luckily, it's not a fund, it's a fund where you can keep money if you don't spend it, right? You don't have to spend it by the end of the fiscal year. So we're still, working through that.
Is that a tax on assessment or is it on sales?
It's on transfer and recreation,
okay.
so it's not on assessments.
Okay.
Yeah. So for instance, if you're refinancing.
Yeah.
And, or if you're
Or selling.
selling, yeah. But we created that, and not through the budget, but the charter amendment gave us the authority, and then we passed a bill to be able to create that, right? It's the only exception to, that's the only power that we have, so we wanna make that available for other things, so that we can create, let's say, another funding source and give it to Live Baltimore, so that they can, market the city, just like we give a ridiculous amount of money to Visit Baltimore, Visit Baltimore gets 40% of that hotel tax, which was not created by us, it was done through the state. So that kind of stuff is something that we're thinking about. So I think that there's still a lot more conversation. The Charter Review Committee is having public meetings, so there's one tomorrow. I just put it in my newsletter, all the dates, and, we're also doing like super mundane stuff, like, oh, the charter doesn't actually have the housing department in it, so do we take out all the departments and put them in code and just list them as, super mundane stuff that won't have policy impact. All of our procurement right now is dictated through the charter, and that's actually a really big deal because it's hard to change the charter, right? So we're gonna take all that out through a charter amendment and then put it all in code so that it's easier for us, and it's a much more public process from if we're gonna change an ordinance, everybody gets a chance to take a look at it. So it's like those kinds of things that we're looking at for that. The other thing about the budget is that we wanna start earlier. So the city council gets the budget in May, and we have to pass it by the end of June, right? That gives us no time, plus we consolidate all of our hearings. We have one taxpayer's night. So we wanna move that date back, and that will affect when the Board of Estimates gets the budget. But it's really important for us to get more time, because then I can come to you in a community meeting and say, here are the things that I saw in the budget. You're not gonna read a 50 million page thing, but we will, hopefully. So, we could say, well, what do you think about that? We don't have any time right now. So it's an important thing to be, and then we can go into our strategy around amending the budget or negotiating. There's still a lot of negotiating with the mayor's office that we do.
And the budget situation is about to get worse because they passed a state law that requires us to give them our tax rates now by May 31st.
We have to pass that now.
And so, that, apparently SDAT was having trouble getting tax bills out in time. And it's not a problem for any other jurisdiction, because no other jurisdiction has a two-part budget process. And, we had already suggested to the president's office that the easy fix was to just, reduce the amount of time that the Board of Estimates has with the budget, because
And we're actually suggesting that the Board of Estimates does not get the budget
and,
at
and,
all.
and now with this,
Why?
because,
Well, first of all, we're the only jurisdiction in Maryland that has a Board of Estimates, okay? A lot of the budget power ends up with the mayor and the county council in other jurisdictions. So there's no Board of Estimates, right? So one idea is just to take it, we're negotiating what to do to handle the Board of Estimates at the moment, because it's very much the mayor's,
and that's the reason why there's no
Yeah.
practical point in including the Board of Estimates in the budget
in the
now.
budget. It makes no sense.
Because the mayor is coming up with the budget, the mayor is bringing it to a board that the mayor controls 3 of the 5 votes for. And there's a 30-day wait between when it comes to the board and when the board can pass it, which makes no sense until you know, and this is always the fun part of history, that until the 60s, the comptroller put the budget together. And so the comptroller had all the financial agencies under them. They came up with the budget, they brought that to the Board of Estimates, and the reason that there's 30 days in there was that was the time for the mayor and the comptroller to work out a budget that they could agree on, that the mayor would have enough votes to pass in the Board of Estimates, and then that would go to the council. But when they took the writing part away, when they took the comptroller's role out of the budget, they never bothered to change the overall process. And so now it's just a waste of a month. And so if we're not going to either reform the Board of Estimates to take the mayor's votes off so the mayor doesn't just control it, or move finance back under the comptroller so that the comptroller has a role in the budget. If you're not gonna do either of those two things, then you might as well just have the budget go straight to the council a month early.
Yeah,
Is there
so
something
it's
that
all-
happened back then
it's-
that caused that to?
A Republican mayor.
The last Republican populist mayor of Baltimore, Theodore McKeldin. And if you go down to the
Consolidated
University of
power.
Maryland Library.
Yeah, he consolidated power to have a strong mayor system, but nobody ever fixed it.
He actually, he concluded the strong mayor system. The strong mayor system started in the late 1890s when another populist Republican mayor convinced the people of Baltimore that the city council were a bunch of greedy, corrupt Democrats who only cared about enriching themselves, and that for safety's sake, you needed to move all of that power into one strong executive that people could trust.
This is probably why we get paid peanuts compared to everybody else.
So, I wanna pause.
I know we can talk about this all
We
day,
could.
I'm
There-
sorry.
no, it's great
You got
that
the
there's
two, like,
interest.
geeks here to do
Um,
this, you know?
We also, though, we've got a room full of nerds, obviously. Before there's a couple points we wanna raise. Let's see, DPW was on the list.
Wait, I did have one question, actually, I'm sorry, to go back to the charter review. I know that we were talking about the, like, CBD, the business districts are reexamining also their bylaws, and then also, and then, is that also part of the charter review too?
They're not in the charter.
Yeah.
But they're not in the charter. They are in state law, they're authorized by state law,
Right,
but the bylaws don't have to be approved by the state.
okay.
You currently have to be approved by the Board of Estimates.
They do, any bylaws changes, like major bylaw, if it's an and or an or, no, but like major bylaws changes have to be approved by the board.
So,
Sorry, I picked off that.
upcoming events, discussion. We can carve out some extra time at the end for like further conversation, but I do wanna make sure we cover everything else.
I don't want to have the comptroller stay if he.
Anything else we can,
The other question was around the meds and eds.
meds and eds?
And what happened last year with the funding from the nonprofits, and if that might change anytime in
That won't change for 4 years.
4 years, that's how long.
They signed a new pilot for 5 years.
Well, that's the answer.
A new.
It was 5 years though, not 10 like it normally is, so all this has to be renegotiated after.
It was shorter, and part of the point of that was, with what the federal government has done to completely upend the business model of universities, especially research universities. The reality is, this is an awful time to try to establish a baseline of what an institution like Johns Hopkins can afford to pay. And the hope, crossing everything I can cross, the hope is that by the time we circle back to revisit this in 4 years, there will have been a change of executive administration, and we will have returned to something approaching economic normality for how universities work with the federal government.
meaning largely NIH funding.
I mean,
NIH defense.
There's all kinds of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
NIH defense, there's the multinational students are not coming to the US, and those
Also, I
are
think-
students.
Most of the GSU's, like, staff have been laid off right now in Japigo. which
Yeah,
is-
yeah.
Oh, yeah, well.
It's also, keeps us like USAID stuff.
But it
Yeah.
is actually a doubling, though, by the end of 5 years, actually, the amount that was collected before from all the universities combined was 6 million. Combined, it will be 12 million a year by the time that 5 year comes about. Now, that's like nothing compared to what, yeah, but.
Comically low.
Comically low, okay.
Why is it not based on a percentage of what their income is versus?
It kind of is, but only in how the 6 to 12 million is individually distributed among all 17 of them that participate. Yeah,
Universities and hospitals.
Notre Dame pays like $50,000 a year, and Hopkins and University of Maryland Medical System pay like $2 million each. And then the others make up the other 2 million of the 6.
Would the process in 5 years be more open, transparent? Because it sounded like people were a little bit upset
Well, we
about how it
have,
went down.
I'm glad you asked that, so Councilwoman Porter, put in a bill last year, not last term, but last year, to create a task force that would be, made up of, lots of different stakeholders, including some of the participants in that, to actually come up with a formula in a transparent manner, to suggest to the administration and to the universities and hospitals about what that would look like. The task force wouldn't make the decision, but would be working on making those, what the formula might be. Also doing an education campaign citywide about, what this is, what they pay, et cetera, et cetera. That has not passed yet. There's a lot of politics around that at the moment. But, I mean, that was kind of the Councilwoman Porter's idea, was to try to make all of this much more transparent, instead of just backroom deals like we just saw.
But there was a political issue involved in that also, where they were trying to put union representatives on that task force. And they would be the same unions that represent workers at the institutions. And that would be baking in a conflict of interest for the task force members, because now they're in a position where they're ostensibly, for the task force, trying to figure out what's the best way to get the most money from the institutions to the people of Baltimore, but knowing full well that every dollar that gets pulled out into what's coming to the city is going to be a dollar not available for them when they're in bargaining with the institutions for their own workers. And there was no good solution to that didn't involve completely upending the composition of the task force. And I don't know how that's gonna get resolved.
I don't know, I feel like we're acting like we're actually afraid that they'll leave sometimes though. And
Hopkins?
Hopkins is not.
That would be
no
really
one's
hard.
leaving. No one's leaving.
They just built $250 million
Right,
yeah.
students,
Like,
$250 million.
Loyola's not
They're
leaving.
building a
Notre Dame's not
monstrosity of a
leaving.
building.
Right. We do have quite a bit to kind of go through still, and to, make sure that, we respect the comptroller's time.
I'm scheduled for another 32 minutes.
You
guys talk about
We are
whatever
too,
you
though,
want.
that's the problem. I will say, can we have, like, a quick, just rapid fire, just update on a few kind of infrastructure things? Do we have any updates on what's going, and we don't have to like get protracted conversations, this is just like, make sure that everybody gets an ear. Do we have any updates on what's happening with the Druid Hill, Lake?
You have one? I don't have one.
I think they're still raising the money, so the planning is happening, and, there's money that's going to be raised to be able to realize the plan.
Any update on the now, 6-year process of determining a new transportation corridor on Greenmount? We've narrowed down the options, I think.
No, that is all on hold.
Okay.
And, MDOT has been very clear about that, much to my dismay and the dismay of the council members along that route.
The yellow one?
It would be, Well, it's the red line bus, but what they were planning on doing initially was a north-south corridor, study. And, they did the study, but there's no money.
Right.
So.
Cause I think we're between like a rapid transit bus or a light rail.
Right,
at this
those were
point.
those are the two options right now. It's likely gonna be rapid bus if it ever actually does materialize.
Ooh, trade.
I mean, I would like a light rail, but you know what happened?
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
taken out the infrastructure.
Yeah,
Like when
yeah.
we did the, water main stuff on Greenmount, we took out the tracks. That was dumb. And so, because there used to be a streetcar.
Yeah, we do a lot of that.
So, but all that's on hold. MDOT has been very clear that this is not going anywhere right now because of budget.
I think there's one more, north south corridor, the lake,
Lake Montebello is not getting dredged.
Bump outs on
right?
28th and 29th.
bump outs, we're getting some movement
Yeah,
on.
we've got some movement on bump outs. Yeah, we're getting some movement on stuff.
North Ave resurfacing?
North Ave.
No, not North Ave, 25th.
25th Street is getting is resurfaced from Hartford to, well, now it's all messed up over there next to Hartford, but it will be fixed. There's a whole streetscaping plan for, Greenmount to, Kirk Avenue. The sidewalks would actually be like trails, there'll be a bike path as well, and there's gonna be a median. I mean, it's a big deal. We got
They don't
federal
wanna do
money.
it all the way over to Lake Montebello to connect, if they're gonna put in.
On 25th Street doesn't.
Well, no,
connect to
well, I
Lake
mean,
Montebello.
but I mean, it goes, it's only a couple blocks, so, but like, why stop at Kirk? Kirk is not a great, doesn't seem.
Oh, I think
mean,
they're doing Hartford to Kirk now.
They're
But are they gonna continue it or no?
They're doing, I think we were able to convince them to do the plan to Hartford. But what we don't have is then a bike path up, so we are getting a bike, path, or a bike trail up from St. Lo Drive north to connect, that Hartford Road bike lane all the way down to St. Lo Drive, and then St. Lo Drive already has one, and it would connect to the Washington Boulevard one. There is a lot of conversation around bringing that down on Hartford Road to 25th Street. There's some complications with the school, the cemetery across the street and all that, but like it's still in conversation about whether or not.
I recommend a toll on 83, I think we'd get a lot of these county friends
I would
to
love a toll on
contribute.
83, that would be
Right.
amazing.
$8 every day. I'm sorry, I mean 16. No.
Yeah,
fine.
You have to have the right balance.
Surge
All those
pricing,
cars will
surge
end up-
pricing.
Surge pricing.
Yeah, there you
All
go.
those cars will be
Dynamic
down Falls
pricing,
Road, which,
yeah.
you know, we don't
We're just
want that.
resting now.
Oh, we can build multiple tools, don't worry. The entire state is very okay with it.
This might be no, but like, do you happen to know anything about the speed camera that's like half installed on 500 block of East 27th Street? It was something that like MDOT started like last year, but it's just like the thing with the speed readout. But
I know, it's
there's
not.
no camera or hookup.
No, I know. Well,
Okay.
that's gonna be part of all of the work that we need to do on that block, is to look at that.
Okay. We have a-
Okay, sorry.
No, that's all right. Anything?
Last thing?
No?
I think so.
All right.
We'll be here.
Dumpster day, next Saturday.
Bring your trash.
Bring your trash. It's gonna be
Barclay
at Barclay.
and Whitbridge, basically. So 2709.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like right there.
Hungry dumpster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Eat to you.
Volunteers welcome, if anybody wants to participate, just flag Adam. Also, something that came up last meeting, the idea of stew parties, very informal, a bit different than our traditional, effort last year at a big style block party, just doing a much more low-key, this stew party later this month, just as it gets warm enough, put some grills out. We talked about Whitridge, 300 block of Whitridge, because several people on the board live on Whitridge. Whitridge is overrepresented for 300 and 400 block.
Yeah.
put in the bylaw, there can't be more than 4 people per block.
Per block, per street.
I put a couple dates, Saturday, Sunday, the 21st, 22nd, or the 28th, 29th of this month. Again, trying to keep this very low, low stakes, low pressure, very kind of DIY, like honestly, like, I'm volunteering Zach's Grill in the front of Zach's house.
I also volunteer Zach's Grill.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'll tell my grill to organize that.
But really, like, just a porch hang on an afternoon.
Yeah.
Like on a day where it's not raining or ideally snow.
Oh, and a certain, city council member's, partner who has pretty good, tunes and vibes. I think his name's John, right?
Yes.
Spurrier, is that?
Yes.
Would love his participation.
We do live music, we get like low key DJ, whatever. Anyway,
Yes. Great.
Not the 28th, but yeah. We
so
can do that.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll sort, but I mean, again, an afternoon, like something limited cleanup, limited effort, just like a stew party.
Cheap too.
Yes.
We don't have a date yet, right? Or is it-
No, I was saying like, either the last or second to last weekend, a Saturday or Sunday.
March 22nd, I believe, is the party, to celebrate the opening of the, Guilford Bridge.
Oh, is that when that?
Party is on the bridge.
March 22nd, thank you.
Maybe we should do it then, so like pair up, since people will be out for that.
No, the days in April.
Okay, so we'll do it tentatively the same day as the bridge reopening. Just get people out, hopefully it will be fun.
We also have a survey that we're trying to run. I'm putting my, Frederick 26th Street, park, hat on real quick. We're gonna like distribute a survey to see what people feel should be done with the little CSX plot of land on 26th Street at the end there, on the opposite side of the park, the green. Right now, the main 2 activities that happen there are either, dog things
Yeah,
or drugs.
mostly dog things though.
Many drugs too.
A lot.
Some of the dogs are doing.
A lot of dog things. So watch out for that, please. We would love to get more feedback on that.
I wanna, Mara,
Mm.
you wanna
Yeah.
say a couple words? The Harwood Park, 27th Street Park is, an ongoing project that has been making progress, and Mara can tell us about where we are right now.
Sure, yeah, so we worked with, in my day job at the Neighborhood Design Center, we worked with community members since summer. We have a report now that summarizes feedback, a couple of different options, a good vision of kind of what the community priorities are. And our next steps are to work with Rec and Parks, who owns and manages the site, bringing in Central Baltimore Partnership, thank you, who does a lot of place-based beautification projects in this area. And, you know, work with them to see if there's some supplemental grant funding for what Park and Recs may not cover. And set up those kind of next step meetings to figure out, you know, what can we tackle with the design, given the priority first is just making it, more green, and dealing with the sinkhole that's currently on Greenmount, and making that space greener, having a nice ADA pathway on it, but in general, the kind of, their origins for this were, if they're gonna spend the money to fix the sidewalk, is there a way for us to fix it with a vision towards a better park in general, with more greenery, more green space, improved services, improved signage, things like that.
Here, Mary, you wanna pass the package?
Yeah, so these are,
So
Zach's
these
got
are
one,
the-
these,
The sidewalk with grass, right?
yes, right, sidewalk.
Well, they are gonna be taking it out.
They're gonna be taking it out this
Yeah.
year too.
There'll be a differently placed and more
Yeah.
practical sidewalk that doesn't occupy
Yes.
60% of.
Right, yeah.
That's
Well,
the
that's
goal.
a
That's the
longer
goal.
term thing, but yeah, Luciano gave us that update that they, because of course they had to stop doing, they had to reschedule with the like
Yeah.
contractor. So, but that should be happening probably in the next 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
And
if
like
you-
the next year.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
If you want to look at these designs later, you can. So these are some like high level, super conceptual ideas that show examples from nearby updated parks that are kind of inspiration for where the park could go in the future. So that's over here. And definitely there's digital copies of these that could be,
Sit up there.
yeah, that could be emailed out. And
I can include that when I send out the minutes.
okay, yeah, it's just an attachment, yeah, it's a lot easier to see it on your computer, and there's a lot of information on there that is like survey feedback, existing conditions of the park and things like that, and then towards the end, just some example imagery of what it could be. Yeah, we also,
Wait, is our next step, setting up the meeting with Record Parks, or?
with Rec and Parks and or probably doing a pre-meeting with CBP.
Oh,
Or,
okay.
and then asking them to join, yeah.
okay.
Sure.
And obviously, council, yeah. Councilman Ramos, you're invited to that as well,
Yes,
depending on your
I will.
schedule. Yeah.
Cause you know, we'll need you pressure. Yeah, you want another project?
Yeah, I do feel like we should have another kind of meeting, like strategize what we're asking.
Yeah, cause I think the last time we talked about this, I needed $1 to add.
Yeah, I think we need to have a meeting with Record Parks first,
Yeah.
because they also need to tell us what they think is gonna be the capital expenditure versus
Yeah.
stuff, and what they're gonna be willing to do.
Right.
So, and then once we have that, then we'll.
Okay.
Is the sinkhole, parks or DPW?
DPW went and looked at it to make sure there wasn't like utilities or anything underneath it. It's not like a regular.
Just used to be a house.
Yeah, it's a basement probably, yeah.
It's a poorly filled in
Yeah.
situation.
Did anybody have any questions about the park department line? Or if you do, Mara, Adam,
Yeah.
and I can all.
Yes.
Definitely encourage you to give a look at the, packet.
For sure. Well, Ed did a great job with this.
On the topic of parks, sort of general beautification, we've got a couple other things going on. Last week, we held a community garden meeting. I'll touch on that in a second. There was also a planter walk. Who was at the planter walk? Anybody here? Looking at potential locations we have access to some large planters we'd like to put up. Anything promising come out of the planter walk?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, again, where these planters are like, I don't know, 6 to be squares, basically for the majority, or like on average, and then maybe like 3 feet tall. So we, on this, maybe first of a couple of walks, but we basically, our priority intersections that we were like, okay, we can focus on that because they seem to be also the most, like, quick action item that we can make happen. And of course, like, one of the things we want to see happen with this year is, to get some real stuff going. And so we're looking at, the east side of 29th and Barclay. We're gonna create a map where people can be like, oh, this is where I would like this, or to give feedback at a certain point. But that sidewalk is quite large, there's a lot of sun, and we can put them on the sidewalk, and then as we go along with the placemaking stuff with DOT, potentially put them in the bump out. But this will at least give us, they'll be there, and also that sight line will help slow down some traffic. The other side next to the school is a little bit smaller, so, and then we're looking at also 27th and Greenmount, also the east side for that. Cause again, the west side sidewalk is too small. And that's where those 2 open lots are, and so we're thinking maybe putting, each of these intersections would be 4 planters. And then, of course, at a later point, if people are, we can move them and stuff like that. But then, and then the other one was 28th and Greenmount, also on the east side. Oh, you got it. Wow, oh my God, Mara, you're fast on it. Oh, wait. Yeah, so that, so our next step with that is basically just, how do people feel about those? And because then our next step is to coordinate with CBCBD and a vehicle to move them. And in my mind, this is something I think we can do within maybe like month, 2 months, so.
These are, just for context, for those who haven't been sitting in these conversations for longer, these are planters that are down in Old Goucher.
Yep.
There's sort of 2 different sizes. They're both very large, old concrete planters. They don't need them anymore, and they've said we can have them. There are as many as 14 available. All we need to do is come up with the means to move them, and then we can plant them. This is, I think, also useful because it serves as like an extension of work that's being done by the garden. The Harwood Community Garden, which is now officially part of the Community Association, is doing a lot of stuff in the main garden as well as on the other side over east of 27th, and adding additional places to plant stuff is popular. Because we have access, because we're a member of the Baltimore Farm Alliance, we have access to seedlings, we have access to seeds, we have access to fertilizer, we have access to all these resources. And we have a very small garden. The main garden is a very small garden. We use the, what is called the Harder lot, named after Phil Harder, who founded it, mostly run by Izzy now. We use that as sort of our overflow so that we could really, like, we get seedlings, we put all of those seedlings in the ground. If we don't have room for them in the main garden, we put them on the other side. But having planters means we can put, we can actually start putting more flowers in the neighborhood. We can even look into getting trees, small trees from Blue Water Baltimore, local indigenous plants. These are things that we're working on.
And also a potential like art opportunity, you know, if people want to decorate pots, and also another like a visual, like also a blue skies, you know, how do we make the neighborhood feel more connected also.
And then on the topic of the garden, the other thing I want to touch on, and this was a big conversation in the garden runs parallel to this. There are folks that just want to be part of the garden. There are folks that are, you know, focused on other things. One of the things that we did last year, we built basically a farm stand / dry pantry that is on the corner of Whitridge and Greenmount. We put a lot of produce in there last year, and then off season, a lot of people were putting canned goods in there. When it was like 100 degrees out for like 10 weeks, we were putting water in there. It's a useful place. Anything that doesn't require refrigeration or special storage, we were putting in there. And we're part of the Baltimore Community Fridge Network, but we're not a fridge, it's a dry pantry. One of the things that we discovered is that some of the people that are involved in the garden have been taking excess produce and cooking it, turning it into prepared meals and putting them into the fridge up at the Red Emma's fridge, which is also a community, like a free fridge. So we're making this a larger priority. Our goal is to keep better track of how much produce we're putting out for the sake of the garden, for accountability. If we want to talk about, you know, getting grants, if we want to talk about changing our status from a garden to a farm, like knowing how much produce comes out of the garden is important. You know, they say $2,000, I think is if you're producing $2,000 worth of produce. We probably did, but we don't keep track of it. So the garden will be keeping better track of how much produce we push out, both to the neighbors, because everybody can just take produce, but also we put a lot in the farm stands, we hand deliver stuff, but it's also now being converted into prepared meals. And we also want to make that We're not gonna formalize it, there's not gonna be a committee that does the meal making and distribution, but this is a part of what we want the garden to be for the community. And so, we'll have ongoing updates for the community as far as what's coming out of the garden, as far as what's happening. We'll do more fundraisers. We now have a bank account, the garden is part of that. And so it's exciting, and we're very, very happy that we can be more engaged with the Baltimore Free Fridge Network.
Right before, and we are also working on basically developing or streamlining our finances in a way to reflect what monies are supposed to be primarily directed towards the garden and what's supposed to be directed to larger association needs, right? Right now, all the money is in one pot, and so there's a lot of like just background accounting happening to make sure that like the money that we have for certain things, specifically the garden, is safeguarded for those reasons. Slight update on that is we have now applied for our state tax exemption. Probably something I should talk to the comptroller about. I went into this with thinking it was a fairly straightforward thing, and it's not.
It's definitely not.
It's very much not, mainly because the information is not very straightforward anywhere. And including just like other organizations that are trying to explain how to do it.
Have to be a tax exempt organization.
Or rather like how to.
We have our IRS
Determination.
501c3 status.
It's just the state part?
It's just all the paperwork involved in that.
The state part.
Being,
Like,
Like,
follow-
do you own, could you own property?
No.
we don't care about that. Oh, if you wanna give us
Well,
some property.
what is it, the sales?
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be hard if you've got the 501c.
No, yeah, I did the application, I'm waiting on this picture to just answer back. But the latest thing that I did was supposed to come with a payment, and once I finished, they were like, we'll let you know. And
Email me.
we'll do.
And, we have a guy who works on this.
But that's for garden people, we are working on, being able to kind of like make sure we have a clearer idea of what's happening on each side. That's it.
You can wait until after,
Yeah,
just how do I get involved
Yeah.
as a volunteer with the garden?
Talk-
I'd like to.
Talk to me, I'll get you.
Okay,
the-
great.
Basically.
Great.
Yeah, or him, I mean.
Okay, great.
We got 10 minutes.
Is there anything we wanna, can I ask a question?
Bridge. The only other thing, Ty is not here. One of the requests 29th Street made to us every third Tuesday of every month. They do something called Feeding Our Neighbors. They would like Harwood Community Association to help with one of those events sometime this year. We'll figure out a date, but that's something that we'll be working on. Involves setting up, bringing food, serving, just.
Can we do it like in the summertime, like instead of a community association meeting?
That
Like
would be
have
great.
a Feed Our Neighbors thing like in July?
We July 21st?
Let's do it.
I mean, we'll confirm this during the board meeting, but yeah, I just wanted to put that out as something that will be, one of the big priorities this year. Last year was very much a like lining stuff up, getting stuff ready, cleaning up the bylaws. One of the priorities this year is to become more visible, to do more things that are much more visually and like publicly recognizable. It's like, this is what the community association is doing, rather than just like, actually this isn't a bunch of nerds sitting around talking about policy, which is also great. That's it for me.
A bit of a harder lot, I have reservations about that name, but harder lot question, mainly for you, Odette.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not Sisson Street, harder lot specifically, 27 Greenmount, two-part. Any update on the tear down for the fish market now that it has a new owner? Or are we just gonna
I'm working
do
on
the
it.
whole
I don't
thing
know
again?
how long it's gonna be. but
So,
we're working
we
on
might have.
it. Yeah, we want those down. So
The
it's
main
gonna
point was,
happen, but it's
the
not.
main point for them to acquiring them was for them to
Yes. I
do
know.
that.
Yes,
they can't become the new owner, that,
I totally agree with you.
the other side is, any thought on, the city approached, Harwood Association a year ago with, just kind of like asking us what the community would be interested in seeing in those two big lots. We recently just like, through channels, understood that the city is maybe also talking to said new landlord or group, about maybe their interest in those lots and redeveloping them. Is there anything just in the city's thinking about what should go there, or what?
No, I mean, I think that we're, just trying to, I wanna make sure that whoever is interested in those lots actually
Sure.
has a conversation with all of you. But the city doesn't, I mean, initially, they started acquiring those lots because it was gonna end up being, something that the community wanted years ago, which was the housing, which is being accomplished with Oak Hill. So the townhouses.
But you're
Yeah,
now
yeah.
part of
Oh,
Harwood.
those,
Yeah.
Harwood East,
those are becoming
Wait,
senior houses?
Greater
Oh,
Harwood.
you mean
Those
just
are-
like boom,
So those,
everything?
right now, those are like super low income right now. At
You
some
mean the
point.
Maryland Bay houses?
The
No, no, no.
townhomes.
part of Harwood.
Should be next.
Right.
On,
Okay,
Yeah.
so 27.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah,
funny.
Oh, Lord.
South side.
And so Oak Hill, that, all of that, the owner's looking to redevelop and for a affordable, for a, low-income housing tax credit project.
Oh.
This is years away, but it's,
Um,
and it's also gonna increase the number of
Is that just
people there, which I think will be great.
Is that something that
all this they're gonna do.
would you be willing to get him to come to one of our meetings?
Yeah, I've actually promised to make connections with all those businesses and I haven't done it, so
That's a lot.
We also have not done our like outreach yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're flyering there, but we haven't really started to move into that area.
Right, okay, yeah. Well, there's two key people within the, Oak Hill to talk with that are neighborhood leaders there. And then, so anyway, it's a matter of like looking, having your process for those lots as to what you're thinking about based on also what the interest might be out there. And I would imagine that you've talked with, that particular owner. But nothing's, like they're all still city lots.
Okay.
Yeah, and we saw that the pavilion came down on 26th.
Yeah.
And Barclay.
Yeah.
So it's great to see that progress. And there's
It's just
been
they
lots of
all moved
conversation.
over to the building behind there.
Yeah, okay. Well,
So-
Is that where those garages?
It's not a garage, it's a building.
Loading bay.
And,
Like Baltimore
we
roof,
know the
whatever.
owner, so, I have spoken with him and he's been in touch with the police. He's gonna put some cameras and more lighting back there. Which, but we also found out from the major that one of the things that's happening is that the drug treatment center that's on 25th Street doesn't allow folks to loiter in front, so that's who's
why
back
they're
there.
moving. They're just moving around.
Yeah, which puts them more at risk
Yeah.
for, going back to
Started
what they sought treatment for to begin with, right? So,
Is also one of the things on our little pantry walk that we also noticed is that, on 25th, on the 25th and Green Mountain corner, there's 4 bus stops and none of them have, a covering, there's not a bench at any of them. Is that something that we should contact 311 about, or is that like a direct approach to DOT?
there's always a first to 311, and then we can advocate with DOT. Let's figure out from people who've been in the neighborhood for a while, whether there's a reason for that. Because, on Greenmount, in front of Kitty's, and then in front of the dollar store, we took those benches out for a reason. And so, which is unfortunate, but hopefully we can put it back in at some point.
What was the reason?
So what would happen is that the police would come up to say, hey y'all, you can't be dealing drugs here, and they're like, oh, we're waiting for a bus. So we actually got very positive feedback from even the bus riders about doing that, because then the crowds are not
Yeah,
there. So that's all I'm asking, is that we have a bit of a discussion with, some of our folks who've been here a while, if there's a reason for not having. Yes, legacy residents, if there's a reason for that. But I do think that having shelters and benches
Yeah.
in general is the right
If
thing to
anything,
do, but
shelters.
there's, you know, I just wanna have it.
I don't think I've heard it, I'm sure public works has the 25th Street busiest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bit of a buzz question, and it'll be my last, statement of the week, or question, or thing, for today. We, a number of months ago, the Harwood board, agreed that it was a good idea to bring this up to, council, as to, with the change in the purple line and where the stops are.
Yeah.
There's this weird big gap between Greenmount and 25th Street, and wondering if it wouldn't be a better idea to have the purple line stop at 27 as the only
29 and 25th.
So
There
right
we go,
now,
29th.
29th
so right now,
Street.
the purple line goes on 33rd, down Greenmount, on
29th.
29th Street, and then heads back down to
Yeah.
St.
There's a
Paul.
weird gap. in-
But there's
no
this weird
stop
gap.
Between 29 and 25th.
And it's the only bus that doesn't stop at 27. And we're wondering if there's a reason.
Oh,
And
I see what you're saying.
We have much interest
Does it
and
stop at 29th and St. Paul?
No, it doesn't
No.
stop at 27.
it used to, but it doesn't anymore.
So, okay, so it stops at 29th and
It
Charles.
stops at
I'm sorry,
Guilford,
right,
it stops at Guilford and 29.
And then goes all the way over to St. Paul, and then comes down to 25th before it stops.
Does it stop at Greenmount, at Guilford though?
It still
Yeah.
stops at Guilford.
It still stops at Guilford.
Guilford and 29th it stops, yeah.
Yeah, and
But
there's,
it, but
like,
it,
tons of
it
other
sort
buses.
of cuts around at 27th, like that, which is like the main bus stop for like
Right.
the,
I
like,
mean,
it's right
you
by
know,
the
it's-
garden.
I think that they'd be willing, the DOT would be, because DOT manages the
Mhm.
circulator,
Yeah.
the city thing, would be willing to have a conversation now that we've had it there for a year and a half or so, right, a year
Mhm.
or so? So we can at least have a conversation. I mean, they did a lot of study, they had
Sure.
told me they were gonna do it like 3 years before they actually did it,
Mm-hmm.
because of all of the things that it takes to like make all of that happen. And there are stops along St. Paul that they want the circulator to go to. So this extension is super exciting for all of us. But I hear what you're saying, and I mean, it's worth a conversation.
Right, cause it's like, it's,
You
yeah.
kind of can't send them down 27.
No, you can't.
No, not
Send them
down
to
27.
No, I'm just like,
Just
thinking
stop
like,
at the existing
But,
bus stop.
right, like 27th is converged, it's clear for so much, it's the Remington people coming here.
yeah,
Yeah.
giving them back over to St. Paul.
You'd have to go all the way down to Maple Street and turn, and then go down St. Paul, which is a hard turn to make on Maple Street.
Well, I mean, but that also would be interesting to have it go down to 25th, because again, 25th and those are,
It is a little sad.
Well, but the regular.
Yeah, sorry,
Well,
sorry.
Circular.
I just
Yeah,
wanna give a
sorry.
really quick update on Citizen Street if I can.
Yes, Citizen Street update, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
so, I'm the chair of the Citizen Street Task Force, as you know. We have been working for the last 6 months to kind of think about what's the future of that site. Mayor Scott asked us to do that, and, we put out our findings recently, along with 3 options that we're considering. So and we'd love to get your feedback, by Wednesday, but the first one is to keep it the way it is with some modifications, like possibly moving hazardous waste to Bowley's or to other location, because the traffic and stuff is really crazy over there. But also improving the site, et cetera. The other one is option 2, which is to eventually close Sisson, but only when the Rebird and Bowley site are renovated, and we're reducing dependence on Sisson by doing our zero waste stuff that we've been wanting to do for a long time. More dumpster days, better bulk trash, things like that. And then the last one is to move it, but we haven't found a good place to move it. We decided Falls Road was not one of them. We looked at 12 other sites. It's just not possible. So, but anyway, there's a lot of talk about us recommending an immediate closure of Sisson, and that's just false. it's incorrect. So anybody who says that, just tell them, no, it's not the way it goes. So I sent my newsletter, the, links to all of that so that you all can comment.
Yeah, I read the report, cause I wasn't able to make it, and it was.
Just a couple typos, excuse me.
It's okay, yeah. It was nice to see like the data that y'all collected in this time, and it shows that like Citizen Street is by far way more used. So it does seem like.
Even from people who live closer to
Who live
Bowley's
further away, right.
and Reedford.
So it seems like an ideal situation would be like, you know, fix the issues with Citizen Street, while continuing. Do you think, so Reedford is, so Bowley's Lane is getting renovated and Reedford is closed?
It's closed right now, it's for renovation.
Okay.
So they're all getting renovated, and Reedford and Bowley's, by the way, are where our sanitation workers are based. So Reedford is where the trash trucks are, where their locker rooms are for the crews, for picking up trash on the west side of the city. And then Bowley's Lane is the same, but for the east side, and both have a, you know, residential drop-off, as well. And Bowley's will have our composting facility, so that we can really work on, I mean, 40% of the infrastructure, of the incinerator waste is composting waste, and we're really clear that we wanna close that, as well as we don't wanna invest anymore in the landfill, so composting is gonna be important. We're, out of all this process, we're also working on a construction and demolition, deconstruction type of facility, which I'm super and we're hoping that the state's bottle bill passes, but I don't think it will, so we're gonna do our own something. It won't be a bottle deposit, it'll be something, so that we can. So anyway, I mean, it's funny because we started out with just thinking about the site, but it's a real conversation around our sanitation infrastructure, really.
Especially, yeah, it was nice to see all the supplementary things that could lead to relying on Citizen Street less. You know, and it's all dealing with waste in a more efficient way and more locally, so. You know, I don't live in Remington, but I thought, after reading it and seeing the complexities of relocating Citizen Street with all the other properties that were considered and all the issues around it, number one being like, they're all privately owned and they're
Very expensive.
too expensive. Yeah, I'm comfortable with like improving it and keeping it there, but I also don't live in that neighborhood and didn't, you know, see the vision necessarily of turning it into like an apartment building with additional residents and additional amenities, so I'm curious what other neighbors who are closer to that site feel.
And also with a seawall thing too.
Yeah,
because
the developer across the
there,
street,
right?
Seawall would like to do literally hundreds of millions of dollars in development along Sisson, and their holdup is they can't attract any of the tenants that they're trying to get to these big developments to be next to and across the street from a dump.
Underutilized, they fix it, it won't look like a dump.
No, it will always be a dump.
So that's why
If it's a dump, it's a
maybe
dump.
one day, and the other two are functioning.
And then there's the question of, or it could be something that pays millions of dollars in taxes a year.
Right.
So that we can afford to make the other transfer stations we have better usable, so people aren't driving from other parts of the city over there to use them.
So number two is like the ideal.
I mean, we have money in the capital budget for the complete review of Reedford, so that is happening. And then Bowley's, it's in the capital budget for the next few years. And DPW plans on keeping Bowley's open while we're doing construction. I don't know how that's actually gonna work, but it's a really big site. So, you know, we'll see. I mean, we're not there's no plan to close it tomorrow. There's just no people are too dependent on it. You know, Mr. Bennett, who runs that place, has done an amazing job. The crews are amazing, so we wanna make sure that they're okay. Yeah, but anyway, check out the report. I'm glad you read through it, and then, you know, send in your thoughts.
I'm sorry. I was just noticing that somebody splurged and got the Reese's flavored Oreos.
I just saw them on the shelf.
Wait, let me tell you, I pay attention to the price per pound,
Yeah.
for the different kinds of Oreos.
Oh my God.
Those are the,
Oh, no, I
those
have-
are pricey Oreos, but.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
There was no sale today. I just need to get some snacks. So yeah.
As the treasurer, I live and share with a lot of judgment.
You're not getting a reimbursement for that. It's all good.
Right.
Oh, it's a donation, huh?
Yeah, there you go. Feels good.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Just remember when